in the school system. I was a school teacher and a school counselor for over 20 years. And I was working with this one young boy. He was about 8, grade 3. And he was always getting in fights on the playground. And he'd end up being sent down to my office. At that point, I was the school counselor. And sometimes I think, oh, there's a secondary gain that he would get because he loved to come and spend time with me, and I loved to spend time with him too. So part of the benefit of getting in trouble was he would get to leave and come down. But this one day I said, all right, if you could, because I had the blessing of working with an administrator who won the Order of Canada for education, and she used to pretend she had a magic wand, and the kids
Right.
always loved that. So I'd say, okay, if Ms. D had her magic wand here, and you could use it to change anything about being at school that would make it so that you would love coming to school, what would be the one thing that you would change? And he said, well, I want to be able to read, Mrs. Wallin. And this young gentleman had been given a label, a limiting label that he bought into, of course, as we so often do, that he had a learning disability. So I said, okay, what kind of reader do you want to be? He said, well, I want to be a great reader. And I said, well, shall we check? And so we did this little process to make sure if his subconscious mind supported that desire, that goal, or whether there was actually stress associated with it. And for sure, there was stress associated with his goal of being a great reader. So we did this beautiful balance process that helped him become whole brain to this new desire, this new goal, and just takes a few minutes. And then we went out onto the playground and shot some hoops. And didn't think much more of it afterwards. A couple of weeks later, heard from his classroom teacher, called me down at the end of the day and said, Sandra, I've got an email from this boy's parent. I need you to come down and read it. Because I think, and he had this stern tone in his voice. He said, I think you're responsible for this. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? So I went down to the classroom and he pulled up the email, and the email said, Dear Mr. I don't know what you've been doing at school with my son, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because you've given him back to me. And what the subtext to this story is that this little beautiful family of 2 had gone into sort of our version of witness protection because of the violence that had been perpetrated against the mother and the son. So he had grown up in this frightening place, and they had for the last couple of years been free from that. But those ghosts or those beliefs, the damage that is so often done still lives on. So she said it felt like she's had her son back, and that when they're in the grocery stores, he's reading labels on the boxes and he's reading the signs when they're out, and he wants to read again, and she's reading to him again. And in the classroom, he's reading and he's answering questions, and he's got all of these little buddies that he's playing with, because no longer are they poking at that wound, that label that says, I don't know how to read. He now is freed from that. So he's actually reading in this beautiful, voracious way. But more importantly than that, he's believing in himself as a new and capable and wonderful person that can have friends and friendships. So just one little process that took just a couple of minutes, I would like to believe, I haven't seen him in many years, but I would love to believe that has created a new opportunity for him to emerge from the chrysalis and take flight in a beautiful new form.